Hello, I'm Ashley Shepard with Dyn Audio, and we're here at the NAMM show 2018. Here you can hear all the noise in the background, and we're here with Jason LaRocca, or LaRocca. We can say it either way. Obviously, we know his work from The Accountant and many numerous other shows and movies and whatnot. So we're just here to talk to you and see what you've been up to. What's going on right now? What are you doing?
Let's see. I'm working on, I did. What did I do recently? There was I think it was the murder of Versace. It was a TV show that's on FX right now.
And who plays Donatello?
That's a good question. I don't know who's playing
It's
Donatello.
Somebody. I just saw the ad the other day. Preview on it.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked on the first episode. So I don't know what the rest of the show is like.
Gotcha.
But the first episode.
First one's good.
Quite good. Let's see. Once Upon a Time for ABC.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked on Supergirl movies like Paddington, Life, Joy.
Got to get your Paddington
Jennifer
Bear
Lawrence,
in
there. All kinds of stuff. Bands too.
Well, so taking something like The Accountant on camera, lots of real action, bigger than life, and then going to something like Paddington where everything's sort of in its own world. How do you approach something like that? I mean, from a mix standpoint.
From a mix standpoint? Well, my process, it depends on who I'm working with, because some artists and talent like to bring me on very early on.
Correct.
And some have me just on sort of the post side where they've already written the score. They just need someone to make it sound really great.
Gotcha.
And they have an engineer like myself come in and record the orchestra and then mix it. So like on Paddington, for instance, I came in kind of at the early stages helping mix cues as they were being developed and written for the film. And, of course, the picture looks funny because there's not much to see. You've got green screen and you've got, sort of these blobs moving around on the screen and stuff like that.
Kind of hard to get a vibe.
So you're trying to get inspired by it and, it's not all there yet. So, with animated films, or partially animated hybrid type films like Paddington, you have to, the music does a lot, obviously, to help bring the things to life.
Well, you're kind of driving the bus, really.
Absolutely.
I mean, we got to lay all the dialogue.
Exactly.
I've done some animation myself, and I always find like we're editing stuff together, and the animators are like, "Thank you. Now we can." In some cases, I guess it depends.
Because you're putting a lot of it there. Sometimes you're even putting some of the sound effects there with the music and stuff like that, because literally none of it's there.
It's got to make sense.
You have to provide all of it. So, and I jockey a lot of those worlds because sometimes I'm doing sound design, sometimes I'm producing scores, so I'm helping develop the sound or add things to it that I think might help elevate it. And so, and some of my clients have Dyn Audio speakers too. So I'll be at their studio and we'll be mixing on Dyn Audios, and then they come to my studio and we're on the same speakers. So
makes it
we
easier.
have that cool kind of like, we always feel like we're in a familiar environment, and
that's a nice place to be.
We all kind of get that reference, as it were, to we just came from here, we got the same speakers, and we know what we're listening to.
Sure.
So.
Well, it's interesting. So you go mostly between sound design and score producing, mixing.
I mean, for me, it's always music and it's always score, but there's sound design that I do as part of what I work on in score.
Right.
So sometimes I'll take score elements and I'll process them through modular synthesizers or add instruments and play guitar to them or add textures. So by sound design, I mean music sound design. Usually, but sometimes that could be a gray area.
Well, that was going to be my point. It's nice when those marry well together, and the score supplements sound design supplements score.
It usually always has notes in it.
Yeah, I was about to say, especially all these subwoofer movies, where it's like, wow, like, is that a sound effect or is that the score? What the hell?
And that's another thing I like to do is I'll add boofties, and we call them boofties or whatever, but stuff with like low sub
Mark
stuff.
that one down, boofties.
So I'll add some boofties sometimes and get a couple of I've got my library of like subharmonic, punches and hits and whatever that I'll add to whatever's come in to mix. Sometimes it's not enough, it needs more or whatever. So by sound design, I mean music sound design, but again, it crosses over.
So do you find yourself in big rooms getting, like more like dub theaters to put this stuff together? Or what kind of studio are you working in for a lot of this?
Usually the music production ends up in small studios. We'll go to big studios to score and record the orchestra.
Right.
So we'll go to Fox, we'll go to Warner Brothers or Sony or The Bridge or something like that, usually an LA studio. Sometimes I'll go to London or Seattle. I have gone to other places. But we usually just stay in the big rooms for just the scoring, and so recording, in other words, of the orchestra.
Sure.
And then we go to either my studio, which is, a fairly modest-sized mix room, or some of my clients have their own studios and sometimes like to work there. But they're usually smaller rooms, your average, 15 by 20 or whatever, sort of music mix room, something like that. Not usually a dub stage. But
good Nashville control room kind of thing.
Sometimes we've gone, on a couple of films, we have gone to dub stages just to mix the music.
Interesting.
So we'll just be mixing the music, but we'll be on a dub stage so that we know we're getting that translation.
You're delivering to the stage something that's going to make sense.
Yeah, but usually we're mixing music in music rooms, usually.
Do you find that you're mixing music, or how many channels? What are you doing in pre-dubbing and setting it up?
Yeah, well, the whole music side is basically one massive pre-dub. So depending on the type of score or complexity of it, it can be literally thousands of tracks, or we whittle it down to a couple hundred. And oftentimes on the average score, especially the TV stuff, it's not a lot. Like, it's usually 50 or so electronic tracks, of like drum loops and synthesizers and stuff like that. And then the orchestra, which is like maybe 50 microphones or something like that. So a couple hundred tracks, and then maybe, another 32 to 48 tracks of printing, which is basically a 5/1 stem of the orchestra, a 5/1 stem of the percussion, 5/1 stem of whatever. So, maybe a couple hundred tracks. So
that's what I was trying to get at. The stage delivery, you're in 5/1 typically.
Always.
And that's what you're delivering the stage, even if they're doing an Atmos thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
usually that's what they want for music delivery.
They don't want to put the violins on the ceiling?
Sometimes, and sometimes they ask for just a violin mic or something like that.
Well, that's your breakout. You say maybe 40.
They maybe want like a spot mic or something of one thing they might want to move. Like if it's a solo instrument.
Sure.
Or like we're doing the music for a series of unfortunate events for Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Which has got a lot of music in it and music that's sung on screen. So there's like...
they got to be able to move it around.
There's scenes where the actors are singing, and so I'll deliver just single tracks of the vocal or certain elements that they want on its own, so they can actually move it around the screen depending on where the characters are in the shot. Because I don't know where the final cut's necessarily going to be. It might change after I mix the music. So sometimes they want certain elements just as mono things, but a lot of the times it's a 5/1 or a 7/1 group element. So percussion and high percussion and pads, basses,
so they blend it out.
I mean, a lot of the times they don't. It's not even really to balance it. It's to, if they need to cut it or add something or maybe drop one little thing out that is now interfering with dialogue, they can just quickly mute the high percussion stem for like 1 second.
Probably one of the first ones to go.
Always, whatever little cymbal or crash
dialogue
cymbal.
is king. It's
always king, and it'll go rather than pull the whole music back, they'll just, cut that one little element out.
Do you, when you're previewing with directors, just a 5/1? I mean, do you actually do any of that motion stuff to picture for them to preview before you hit the stage?
Yeah, not the motion stuff, but I'll always have, whenever a director comes into my studio, we're usually pretty far along. So we've got everything in 5/1. We've usually recorded the orchestra by then and all the final vocals and stuff like that. So yeah, they'll come in, they'll listen in 5/1. The panning stuff I'll do is usually just musical stuff that doesn't necessarily matter in terms of what is moving around on stage, but I just want to make some things kind of move around musically, and it's usually general. So if things are moving around, that's already kind of usually in the dialogue and effects tracks. If they're really, really well mixed and they come to us as like almost like a final pre-dub of the effects and the dialogue, that stuff's already kind of moving around. And
so you can see what
I just put it up at Unity and it's already moving around. I don't have to do much to it.
That makes it easy.
Sometimes you get it like that. Sometimes it's just a mono track and it doesn't sound that great. So it's,
dear me, a mono track. Well, hey, more room for music, right?
It's just put it right in the center speaker, and then I just let the music do its job.
So just maybe to wrap up, over the last year, what's something that, say, I want to listen to the LaRocca sound, and I want to see something that you're very proud of, or something that you really dug into and was like, that was awesome. What should we watch of your work that you would really highlight?
I'm proud of a lot of the films I work on. I mean, they're all very different too. I don't tend to stick into one particular genre, but The Accountant, I think, as a film, it's just an incredible film. And
big fan.
Paddington too, just because I like the books, and my son's a big fan of the story too. So it's
and now Daddy's cool, right?
Now I'm kind of cool. Like for 2 seconds, I was cool, barely. Because he likes to see those things. So I have another reason to get a lot of joy out of films like that, because it's great for my son and great for kids. So things like that I'm really proud of as well. And Joy, I thought was a great film, great performance by Jennifer Lawrence, and and the music was really great. David Campbell and I forget the other composer. Wes Thordson was the other composer on that film, who was a young composer.
I've heard his name.
He's done a couple things, but really great. Really emotional music written for the film, and TV-wise, Feud, I think, is a great show, and I mixed the main title for that show, which Mac Quayle, the composer, was nominated for an Emmy for. And Once Upon a Time, it's a great show. It's been running for 7 years on ABC.
I know. That thing's been on for a while, hasn't it?
A really long time. And
you've been on it since the beginning?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we record orchestra for it every week.
Wow.
So it's one of those cool things where we have a really great, sort of almost like a family at this point. We all know each other, the whole team. And so it's just a really fun, almost like a party in a way. We just get together on the scoring stage and listen to this great music played by these wonderful musicians, and we just cool. Well, there you go.
Awesome.
Another week down.
Now, just one last thing. Do you mix any of the albums of the score music?
Yeah,
is that a part of what your process is?
Bumping
soundtrack. Down stereo and
absolutely, yeah.
Is it true as far as stereo can get? To your 5-1 mix?
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's not, we'll do little tweaks, and it's usually things that we want to change specifically for the album, because we felt that we did certain things film-wise that don't necessarily play,
or we don't know why it's happening.
We want certain things to play louder, certain solo instruments. So
which you'd be like, why did they turn that up if you didn't see the picture?
Yeah, so we'll go in and we'll do that as a soundtrack change. But a lot of the times the soundtrack plays pretty well without having to do much to it. But whenever it's getting released for soundtrack, we'll always go through it. We'll spend a day making little tweaks, little finesse things or sometimes we extend things, like certain things are broken up into pieces in the film, but we want to bring them together and make them one long piece for the soundtrack. So sometimes we have to do a little bit of that too, and weaving in and out, getting rid of things that maybe drone on too long because of a scene going on for longer than it needs to. So it's little things like that. But mix-wise, it's usually pretty close, to how we want it to be.
Well, you're dialed in. You've lived with it.
Yeah, we always check everything in stereo and 5.1 and 7.1. So whenever we're mixing in surround, we're always checking it in stereo too to make sure, which is another reason why, the Dyne Audios are so amazing, because I have my stereo near fields and I'll go back and forth. So I'll have a 5.1 set up. Sometimes it's the Dyne Audios in 5.1, or sometimes it's just the Dyne Audios in stereo.
Okay.
But I've always have the BM15s as like my stereo reference. So whenever we're going back and forth between different formats, I kind of have that as like my soundtrack reference, essentially.
Gotcha.
So whenever we're mixing soundtrack stuff, we're always doing it on the BM15s and checking it.
Well, we'll have to get you a set of 48s, mid-range driver, for a new, the new version, shall we say. Well, hey, it's really a pleasure to meet you, and
really
great to hear about the work. I hope you all learned something about what Mr. LaRocca does with the Dyne Audio speakers and with all the wonderful music and films and stuff. So
play loud, play loud.